My name is Paul Luna, and you're tuned into F&B Lunacy. I am here today with food journalist, critic, and writer, John Kessler.
Restaurants that I love are ones where the chef is in the kitchen. I mean, I think, maybe, Gunter Seeger never quite got the fame I think he deserved, but he didn't go on television or open other restaurants. He stayed in his kitchen and cooked, and you could feel the hand of it's like a sushi chef. You try the sushi and you can feel, if it's someone you follow, their hand. So I think that's important. And I could tell your hand too. I mean, I was just thinking back now, and I remember it was that funny place in like downtown Atlanta. I can't remember the name of it, but it had a
Lunacy Black Market.
Yeah. And you had a cabbage salad, and it was just so perfectly dressed. And like that was your hand on that, It was. I find that when you go into a restaurant and you're hungry, I think you eat less and you are more satisfied. I think when you go into a restaurant for the reputation or the name, you tend to order too much, and there's too much trying to get your attention, and it ends up being a less satisfying experience. It's more like an extension of a bar than it really is a restaurant.
Is there a cuisine you favor?
I mean, after that experience of living in Japan, I would say, I like all these Asian cuisines the most. I just find them so satisfying. And I've, learned a little bit about making Japanese and Korean dishes. And I also love their approach to a meal. In a Japanese meal, unlike what you can see here, is really about, it'll be a broth and some rice and some pickles and 3 dishes. There's a name for this. They call it Ichiju Sansai, and it means, 1 soup, 3 dishes, 3 plates. And it's, you get a mixture. Something is maybe fried, something raw, something broiled, something steamed. And it's just, I find so much satisfaction out of that.
Do you do much cooking now, John?
I do exclusively. I mean, I try and order out to support restaurants I love, but I cook so much at home now. And particularly with the pandemic, I love sending away for, the ingredients that make me excited. I had a funny experience. I just sent away to D'Artagnan for some veal chops, and they have very good chickens, and a chicken and a little bit of their foie gras, and they sent me somebody else's order. And so they said, keep it and we'll send you your order. So now I have quail, rabbit, so much Berkshire pork. And so how should I cook this rabbit?
How to cook the rabbit?
Yeah, you have to braise it, right? Because it can get very tough. These are just legs.
Legs? Yeah. The legs, you can either marinate, sear it, like if you were to do an ossobuco.
Mm-hmm.
Deglaze with, let's say, red wine, which turns out to be like a coq au vin or white. And in slow, either oven or on top, just braising it, just let it go.
Just let it go until it, yeah.
Yes. Take, if you want, separately from it, mushrooms. Mm-hmm. And they also stew inside, whether they be from dry porcini or fresh.
Oh, I have some wonderful dried porcinis that I got. I'll use those.
Yes.
That sounds so good. Yeah, no, and that's the way I love to cook too. I like to, I don't want to follow a recipe, but I want to, get some ideas and then just use what I know about how to braise or,
Do you have any kids?
I do. They're all grown. Yeah.
All grown.
Right. They're all, yeah, three daughters, and they're all in their 20s now.
When they come home, do they expect a good meal?
They do. They absolutely do. And it's so funny because I raised them in Atlanta. Nobody lives there now, but when they come home, they want me to make, you know, cornbread and collard greens and black-eyed peas. They want Southern food.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they do. And my oldest daughter is a very good cook, and so she loves to cook with me. Um, I write for Chicago Magazine now. I write some reviews for them, or some, now not reviews, but I write about restaurants for them. And I wrote a big long piece about what the Chicago dining world needed. And
Right.
everybody was very angry about it. But I felt like it's a wonderful city for so much food, but unlike Atlanta, the vegetables aren't as fresh. It's really hard to get good produce here. And Atlanta was so blessed with Buford Highway and so much good, interesting, you know, new people coming to America and cooking. And here it's just so far out in the suburbs that it doesn't affect the food. I think Chicago would be better with more better Asian restaurants in the city. You know, I've written for, you know, like Blackberry Farm, a wonderful inn and farm and restaurant in Tennessee, has a magazine, and I wrote for the magazine, but I didn't write about their property. I wrote a story about being Jewish and Southern, and how that's kind of a very interesting, basically, Southern Jews just love pork and will not stop eating it. But yeah, normally the work I do is I just explore. Like I write mostly about interesting, different international food for Chicago Magazine. That's really my passion, is to find, people who just make beautiful food from where they came from and have something to show us. So, I mean, those are the stories I like the best.
I have an odd question. Would you consider yourself a lunatic?
A lunatic? A little bit. I don't think I hit, and I don't think I'm normal. Yeah, I'm not as sure as much of a lunatic as you are, but I'm not quite but I think lunacy helps. I consider myself an adolescent. I think I'm emotionally about 12 years old. So.
What do you see after COVID in the F&B industry?
I think it's going to change a lot. I think it will be good for restaurants in smaller cities. I think it's been happening already, but more people are going to leave New York and Chicago and San Francisco and go back to where they came from and open up good restaurants there. I think people are going to be doing more tourism by driving. And so that will help, push this opening of smaller restaurants good restaurants in cities that need them. And I think this whole mid-price dining trend is going to flame out a bit. And by that, I mean small plates and cocktails. I think that whole model is too played out. And I think it's too expensive and not satisfying enough. And so I love small plates and cocktails for so long, but it's very busy and noisy. And I think people are going to want something that just feels a little more heartfelt and true.
The reason for my disguise today is to pay tribute to you. It's to pay tribute to you, actually. Did you ever put a mask on, disguise yourself as a critic?
I wish I had. You know, as you know, when I first moved to Atlanta, I think the only two people in the Atlanta food world who had ponytails were you and me. So I probably would have benefited from disguises. But what I did in the beginning was I would have friends make the reservation for me. And then I would show up like, 5 minutes late. I'd have them go to the table. And then I would just be like, oh, hey, those are my friends over there. Bye. And so.
Do you have lots of friends in the industry, journalists, writers?
I do. I have, for the past few years, I've been working with the James Beard Foundation in their awards programming. And so I was helping to manage their journalism awards. And so through that, I've just kept up lots of friends in the industry. And I think everybody is trying to figure out what to do now. And it's also, a big time of reckoning. I know there's food writers are wanting to not have old white men like me, tell the stories of everything. They want people to tell the stories of their own food. So there's a big push for more diversity in food writing now and different voices. And I completely understand that. I mean, I think I was part of a generation of writers like Jonathan Gold and some others who really, Robert Sietsema, who really championed exploring and learning about different kinds of food. But, we are, as soon as I say exploring, it makes it sound like I'm Christopher Columbus, and I don't want to, that's wrong. So I'm a better cook now than I was when I was 35. I mean, I'm not a professional anymore, but, I have such a, I have a touch for certain dishes now. I know that I didn't have before. Don't you feel that way?
Absolutely. I actually, so I conducted an interview yesterday, and I was telling her that I am married, successfully married to this wonderful, she's the queen of the house. And
wonderful.
Yes, thank you. And I was telling her that I love playing with myself. And she said,
well, call me next time you start.
So I said, I said to her, do you play by yourself? She was a female. And she goes, actually, I'm single. I play a lot by myself. And one of the things with cooking as you get older is that there has to be that appreciation to be able to play with yourself, to play, because if you lose that, I don't think that there's no spirit left.
Right.
But to be young up here and to go into the kitchen and take that whole chicken and cut out the breast and the legs and be sensuous, I don't know what more beautiful that can be if I'm not playing with it.
Yeah, no, that's so well said. That's such a good point. And every time it's, things will be a little different because the ingredients are always different. I always am amazed how I never cook an egg the same way twice. I love cooking eggs. I love cooking eggs every possible way I can. And it's always so interesting to me. I very much think there's a zen to cooking. There's kind of a, right, it's not about you, it's about the ingredients in front of you. And I think, absolutely, that it helps empty you out. And you have to empty yourself out. And it is an action that is only going to happen there and then at that time. And to be very honest, marijuana is legal here in Illinois, and I find that I cook so well when I can let myself be in the moment when I've had just a little bit.
Right.
It's
Well, that's
I
again.
don't know if I cook well, but I appreciate that feeling of just being very much in the moment of the cooking and not having anything in mind other than what it is showing me what to do.